Happy Thursday, Patreon out there. We are creeping up close to the weekend. I'm so excited. I've had a really exhausting week at work. So while I still have to work on my commission to try to get that finished by deadline, I decided that I was going to make a quick video where I just play. Just play with all of these new fun things that I've bought throughout the week that I haven't even had a chance to sit down and try them out. It's just been crazy. So it is important part of my process to be not stressed out when I paint, obviously, and I don't want to be in that particular mindset when I sit down to do a commissioned piece of painting that someone's paid good money for me to paint for them. So before I can get to that later on this evening, I need to just kind of let things out and just kind of play around. And so I wanted to open up some of these things and see what we can do. Because I tend to wander and ramble. I have this little bullet journal. So I have the topics that I'm going to talk about in the video. So today's video is all about play. And I have to make to-do lists at work in order to stay on track. So I'm gonna might pause and refer to this. I want to stay on track. I don't want to waste you guys' time. But just want to reiterate, I think that the play part is relaxing. There's art therapy that's very popular that helps people with Alzheimer's and depression and all kinds of all kinds of developmental delayed issues that art just soothes people and helps with that and helps brain function and fine motor skills. So art therapy is very big, and I'm a big proponent of that, using art therapy, and I use it to relax, and sometimes I just scribble if I don't have the mental energy to sit down and do something, and I just want to play. So I need to play, so you guys get to witness me playing for a little bit. So I picked up these throughout the week, and I want to take the moment here and thank you guys, because it is truly, truly, truly with everyone's support and patronage here that I'm able to continue to buy quality art supplies and upgrade from the supplies that I currently have. One of my art goals is to build a portfolio of artwork that is quality enough to show in juried competitions. And when you do that, you have to have archival paints and all of that, and then you have to have the artworks framed, and all of that costs money. And this Patreon, your patronage here, and when you buy my art and print, all of that goes toward that. The funds that are needed, the initial investments to build up and buy quality supplies and then have those supplies framed, because my goal is signature status, and you can only get that by having things entered in competitions and placing in them. And so the good quality supplies is a step towards that. Plus, I want to be able, when I sell my original artworks, I want to be able to offer you guys paintings that are going to last, with products that are light fast, have high light fast ratings, and that aren't going to fade over time. I want to be able to, for you to buy something that's going to be around for many, many, many years. So thank you for all of your support, every last one of you. I specifically want to shout out to Sophie Caldera. I hope I'm saying your last name right. Thank you so much for your very, very generous patronage this month. You specifically bought a good deal of this that we're going to be looking at today. So I want to thank you, Sophie. That was incredibly generous of you. So I'm gonna go through a quick product explain. I have been really eyeballing these colored pencils for quite some time, because in my watercolor paintings, I do go in with detailing with colored pencils and watercolor pencils. And these are, in the art world, the best color pencils that you can get. And I made a comment on social media when I shared a picture of these beautiful, they're like precious jewels, that I could only afford 20 of them. I think the sets do go up to 72, but you're probably looking at close to $200, $300 for 72 pencils. The reason these are so expensive is because they are single pigment and they have a Lightfast rating. So they have the highest Lightfast rating within colored pencils. So we're going to try this out. The blending stumps are what you can use. I do sketch with regular, these are Faber-Castell pencils, with regular graphite pencils, and I use the blending stumps a lot when I do regular sketching. So I needed to get those anyway for my current sketch pencils, but also we're going to try that for this. Gamsol is usually is something that's used with oil paints, I think, to thin oil paint. But you can also use it to blend on colored pencils, so I've heard. So I'm going to try that and see if that technique works. This is something I've wanted to try for a really long time. These are Inktense pencils that kind of work like watercolor, but they're ink. So they don't lift like watercolor pencils will, but they're supposed to be incredibly vibrant. And they work in conjunction with the blocks. And it's basically the blocks work like watercolor. You can crumple off a couple of bits, mix it in these pans with water, and that becomes your liquid ink to paint with. So we're going to try that. I got this gum arabic to play around with some gouache later. I'm going to use my old B Paper Company watercolor pad. This is 100% cotton watercolor paper, 140-pound cold press to try, because I prefer, when you're working with water media, you need to have cotton because it absorbs better. I bought these because I saw these in the art store, and I thought these are really nice. They're artist trading cards and just artist tiles, and I thought these might be nice little gifts for patrons, because I'm going to be redoing the tiers and the benefits in the next couple of months when I bring out the watercolor Christmas cards. And I thought this would be nice to add for certain tier levels, or just basically to slip in with Etsy orders or print orders as just a kind of a thank you. So we'll play around and see how these work. So I want to try these colored pencils first. And this isn't exactly colored pencil paper. I didn't do any research to see if I needed to use special paper, but we're going to try and see what this does. So the trick with colored pencils is you're supposed to lightly, and you build in layers. So let's see if this helps blending. I might not have enough pigment down on the paper. You're supposed to have a lot of pigment on the paper when you go to use a blending medium, and I don't have any. I keep my nails short, so it makes it hard to punch through things sometimes. So here we go. Let's see if we have enough pigment. Oh, I think I used too much. I did use too much. It's not supposed to smell. No, it doesn't have any odor to it, so that's good. No fumes. I'm over here. Today, boys and girls, we're going to be sniffing art supplies. Huffing paint. All right, and let's see. I'm going to try blending yellow and red to see if we can get a nice orange. Hope that's bright enough you guys can see that yellow. I don't think this might be the right type of paper. It's got too much of a tooth. So I'll probably have to poke around online and see what they recommend for type of paper to use. Let's see. Makes a nice orange. Pretty happy with that. So I'll have to learn how to use these and learn the different techniques you can use with them. So that's these guys. Very happy. Oh, I didn't try the blending stump. Let's see. See if the blending stump works. Let's do some greens. Let's blend some greens. should show you, I should do another studio tour and compare it from the first studio tour I showed you guys when just starting out, and so that you could see like all of this to the right of me and the trash pile at my feet to give you guys a truer representation of what I'm working at. Yeah, I don't really know. I'm not really I don't think this is working too well for me with the blending stumps. I'm not a fan. Again, I think I'm using the wrong paper. So we'll do another video with just these colored pencils again. I'm gonna move on to these guys. And you know what? I actually think that I'm supposed to be using the Gamsol with these and not the colored pencils. So yeah, that'll be something else I gotta look into. So these are ink. And let's see. Significantly creamier going on. You're supposed to use these with a very light touch. So let's see. And then you can go in with water. Let's see what we got. Ooh, look at that color. Now that is a nice color. So these can work like conventional watercolor pencils. But see, because they're ink, it's not going to lift. It's probably staining the paper. You can layer, but you just have to wait for the layers to dry. Let's see. Let's see if we try a little bit of I already lost the top. Let's see if we use a little bit directly on the brush. Interesting. Not the same effect as the water. Try that with a different color. And Q-tip, clean Q-tip this time for the Gamsol. So it seems like with the Gamsol you can see the lines from the colored from the Inktense pencil. Whereas, and I'm not pressing that hard either. I'm just barely like lightly going over it. But when you do it with water, it just seems to blend better and you don't have the lines as much. Let's see. Yeah, look at that. So this is dry. I'm gonna see what happens when I go over it with the blue. Right now, the person who has the best videos on these Inktense products is an artist on YouTube called Lackery Fine Art. She's actually also on Patreon, and I'll link to that when I upload this video so you guys can see her using the Inktense pencils and blocks so that you can see what their potential is in the hands of someone who's incredibly skilled, as opposed to just an amateur newbie like me. You can actually see their potential. They do layer nicely, if you guys can see that. I got a really nice shade of green here. I just seeing what color would happen if I put water on the colored pencils. Nothing, because it's not watercolor, Katrina. Duh. I went off, see what happens when I go off script. And let's see, and the blocks. Let's try these guys. These are supposed to mix, kind of like if you're familiar with watercolors in pans. So, what am I looking for? What am I looking for? Let's try this. So this is a sander for pencils. When you need to get a sharp point, you sharpen your pencil, bring it along here, and you get a finer point to sketch with. So I basically just took this guy, rubbed him along the edge of this to get a little bit of crumblies. See if you guys can see that. A little crumbly here in this pan here. And I'm gonna add water. And basically just make like watercolor. Let's see, so that's how that works. Also, you can draw with them for larger, like if you're having a large background and you just want to go through, you can. Let's see, so this one is broken. This one broke in the package, so we'll use this as an example. Come here, guy. So, like that. Like you would a, almost like you would a pastel. If you're familiar with soft pastels. Get back in there. And then you take your water over your area like that. Obviously, you want to use a bigger mop brush if you're using them as background. I would probably think the best way to use the Inktense is not the way that I just did, where you're scraping on the paper, because you get the grain. You can, let's see if you guys can see that. Can you see how it's kind of really grainy? As opposed to how smooth this yellow is, because I mixed it in this little pan here. So I'm gonna try, I'm just gonna mix right here on this paper, on this sandpaper, build up the intensity and layer it. So that, guys, ladies and gentlemen, is how the blocks work. And we're gonna put these back the way they were. I think you were over here. Oh well, it's fine. And next, I want to crack open the gouache and try the gum Arabic. I talked a little bit about that last night when I was doing my commission, that it's supposed to make the gouache a little more transparent. Just and it's also, I've heard that, okay, so with gouache, let me go over this with you. There's a couple of tips and tricks that you need to remember when working with gouache, and I can post a whole video on gouache. But one of the things is it dries matte, and it doesn't always have a good finish, and sometimes a lot of people will put a finishing or a fixative, or, you know, treat their painting with this Gamblin wax to make the painting a little more, not be so flat. I don't want to say shiny because that's not going to make it shiny, but it's going to make it less flat. But gouache dries very flat. So, looking at the commission painting from last night, there's no sheen, there's no shine on this. It is a very flat wash. So apparently, if you mix a little bit of gum arabic into your gouache, there's a fine line. Too much and it cracks, just the right amount, and it is shiny. So let's see. I didn't mean to use water. Let's dry this off. It's just my default. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to mix it in with this. See what happens. Gum arabic is a binder. People will mix their own paints and they'll use this with pigment. Already it's less thick. It's very nice, actually. I like that. So, let's see. Do a little quick flower. Doop de doop. Nothing fancy. So, it definitely makes the paint go farther. So if I loaded the brush up and it's able to go. Now let's rinse this off completely. I'm just curious. If we just put some over here, same little squirt amount, and mix it with water, and we can do a comparison real quick. Make sure I got it all out of there. Okay. Make sure I'm in the video here. So this is with water. I'll load the brush up and see how far I can get with mixing just water. Kind of the same. Okay. This is a lot lighter than this. So gouache dries darker, watercolor dries lighter. So when you're working with the two mediums, you always have to keep that in mind. I like to use gouache because you can use it and get a painterly effect where you can see the brush strokes, because you can get thick. You can get thick with the gouache if you want. Like if you just wanted to go straight with the dry brush, glop it on there, and just start painting with it. And you can get these really nice brush strokes in there. But this isn't good for layering, because once it dries, and if you go to layer on top of it with something, it's gonna lift right up. It's gonna lift right up and it's gonna smear. It reactivates that easily. But yeah, this has made it dry a little lighter. It's also taking a lot longer because this is already dry. This is dry. This is sticky. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Right now it does still not look as matte as this, but this is still a little wet, so I can't really determine if it's gonna retain that less matte finish than this blue right here. So we'll just have to wait and see what the dried results look like. So that was fun. Oh wait, I still got more stuff to look at. I really, really wanted to look at these tiles here. And see what these tiles were all about. So the watercolor greeting cards that I have are made by Strathmore, 400 series. These are 140 pound, cold press, but I don't believe these are cotton. These feel like pulp. Yeah, doesn't really say. I guess I could look up what the 400 series is made of and see. But, so I have a feeling that I know how these are going to react, because I'm familiar with using these products with this is in my cards. So we'll see. And these guys. So there's such a thing as artist trading cards. My dad actually has a bunch of these. He gave me one that had a blue jay on it. So I forget what they're called. They're like ASCO or something. I'll have to ask my dad. But the artists will do this and they'll trade with other artists, and they have their work on these little trading cards. It's really kind of cool, actually. And I've seen some really beautiful ones that they get really detailed for as small as these are. And these are watercolor. Cold press, 140 pounds. Again, it doesn't say if it's cotton, but it's going to be with pretty much the same as this piece of paper here. So yeah, pretty neat stuff I got here. And all of the stuff, these mixing mediums and pencils and products that I've been wanting to try to enhance my art and to work on the detailing, and would not have been made possible without you guys, without your generous support. And I can't thank you guys enough for all you do, sharing me out on social media, buying my prints, buying my art, supporting me here on Patreon. It really, really means a lot to me to be able to do this, to do what I love and study it and learn it and explore it. And yeah, I'm really grateful that you guys are watching and supporting. So happy Thursday. I am going to get back to my commission after dinner this evening before I go to bed. I think it's coming along nicely. And I will see you guys tomorrow in tomorrow's video. I'm going to try to make these every day. The longest part of these videos isn't necessarily recording them, it's going back and editing them. I do all of my editing on my phone through apps, and uploading them to YouTube. It takes a little while. But so what do we have on the menu for tomorrow? Let's see. It looks like, oh, tomorrow we can talk about prints. So all of the prints for the latest 3 paintings came in from 3 different sources, and we can compare those. We can talk about my whole print process and what kind of a nightmare it's been, and talk about that. And there's going to be a giveaway tomorrow. I'm going to give away one of these prints, not one of mine, another artist who I want to just highlight. I think I want to make this place not so much about me, but just about art in general and the different styles of art. And I'd like to talk about other artists that are out there, because we can learn so much from other artists by observing what they do and listening to what they have to say. That's kind of what I have envisioned for this place, this Patreon, this page, this community that I'm trying to build. And here comes my son, so we're going to end the video. Good night, everybody, and I'll see you tomorrow night.